Hello and welcome to the Football Revolution. I'm your host, Gio. Plenty of goals, cracking weather, sometimes too hot for football, and the off-field buying and selling is about to cease. A lot to get through in tonight's show, and joining me to get it done is my workhorse co-host, VIG. Good evening, VIG.
Good evening.
How's the week been, mate? I know you've got a new team. You played on the weekend. It was a bit hot. You got a loss, but you got an assist. So I'm not sure, has it been a good weekend or a bad weekend for you?
Oh, it's not too bad. Yeah, look, the weather was quite hot down here in Sydney, and yeah, it was good fun. Good to be back out on the pitch. So it's a long season, the NPL season this year. So there's 30 games. So plenty of football to look forward to.
Mate, after the way United went, Casemiro choking 2 points out of you and a few other things going your way. Thank God you've got your pool and your family.
It is. I was tempted to actually do the show from the pool tonight, but yeah, it's good times.
Mate, maybe we could. We'll get a guest, maybe one of the Mariners or someone like that who's used to being down by the water, and we can smash a show out from there. But, mate, I've got a story for you. I know you love these ones from me. So I was car shopping at the weekend, and I looked at a Pajero. And in Central America, it means one who speaks nonsense. So, no, I didn't purchase the car, but it did make me think about our next topic, and it definitely sounds like a Pajero to me. So, moving into the next one, I could be mistaken for thinking April, not February. April Fools, as Danny Townsend states, A-League officials were not prepared for the scale of hostility regarding sending the grand final to Sydney for 3 years, both the men's and the women's. Really? Enough said from me. We've talked about it in the past, but for me, that's definitely a Pajero.
It's a Pajero. It's a bit of a not nonsense if you ask me, but yeah,
Look up the meaning. If you look up the meaning, there's a few other definitions that aren't quite as pleasant, but yeah, for me, it's definitely a Pajero.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I know they spoke about they weren't expecting this sort of backlash from the football community. Yeah, look, I think they knew about this for a long time, and like we said before, the way it was communicated was just poor from start to finish. They could have said, we're doing this, or we're looking to do this, and given the public a heads up that they were thinking about doing this, but they've just gone and done it and dumped it on the fans. And the fans are the ones that have to pay. They're the ones that have to fork out the money to travel to watch a grand final. And if there are no New South Wales teams in it, that's two sets of fans that have to fork out the money. So, we've said it before on the show. We've spoken about it. It was just poorly handled. There was no communication plan from the APL. Or from Danny Townsend and the APL, and it was just poorly executed, poor timing off the back of such a successful World Cup, and yeah, they've really misread the room with this one, and the handling of it has been poor. And now they're just backtracking and sort of digging themselves a bigger hole. So it's not looking good for them at the moment.
Yeah, for me, look, I have to say hand on heart, I haven't read the whole article, because as soon as I read the fact that we need to lock it in so that as a premier sport, we lock in a premier event like that so that we can organise sponsorship and all this, I understand that. But you could have picked each state. You could have had it for 4 years in a different state. So I don't buy that. If Sydney was the best reason, fine, it's fine. But don't say you need to do it because you need to be organised, because you could have put it in Melbourne 1 year, Adelaide the next, Sydney the next, and still been organised because people know where it was at. So as soon as I read that, I knew straight away that this smelt of BS. And so for me, I just stopped reading. And like I said, maybe you can summarize it for me and give me some bullet points on what happened. So I'm up to speed on it, but enough's enough. Football Australia opens expressions of interest for a national second-tier men's competition earmarked to commence in March next year, provided they have enough teams that meet the criteria or meet the financial obligations. They will have that competition. If they don't, they're looking at having some sort of Champions League style format where the winners of probably a Sydney competition would play Melbourne and Adelaide and Perth and so on. So look, fingers crossed that they can get a second competition up, and we're one step closer to having an A League and a B League, like a Division 1 and Division 2, with promotion and relegation like the rest of the big leagues around the world. But only time will tell. Expressions of interest, like I said, opened this week or last week. They've got until the end of March this year to get those applications in to potentially start in a March 2024 competition.
Yeah, look, it's time for the clubs and the fans that have been screaming out for this, and now it's time for the clubs to step up and put their money where their mouth is. And there's a lot of clubs out there that want this national second division. and let's see if it's economically viable for them to make it sustainable and make it a reality. So there's plenty of clubs with great heritage across the nation, who have been screaming for this for a long time now, and now it's time for them to set up, because I think the structure of it, like you said, hopefully it's a home and away league structure between 10 to 16 teams, ranging from 24 to 36 games. So it's a full season, and they want paid salaries for players for 52 weeks of the year. So all professional playing contracts, salaries 52 weeks of the year, and off-field operations for 12 months of the year. So and plus a venue to play the games at as well. So it's a big operation. There's a lot of money that needs to go into it. So the people have been talking about this for a long time, and clubs have been talking, and clubs have been asking for it, and now it's time for them to step up and put their expression of interest in, and make this a reality.
Yeah, look, I think they need to put their money where their mouth is, and there's a lot of fans out there who have kind of walked away from the game because of the fact they were aligned to a former NSL club who no longer are in our top division. But I also do believe with the investment that Australian football's had in the last few years with their private investors and that, they should be putting some money into these teams, not on a regular basis. Maybe not. Maybe they just give them a one-off startup fee to allow the team to hit the ground running and give them the best opportunity, because this is not just beneficial for each of those teams, for the proud clubs like RPL Leichhardt or Leichhardt Tigers now, or like Melbourne Victory, but this is a chance for the league to grow. So surely you have to invest some money to help them grow. So whether it's like I said, a one-off payment at the start to get things running, but you also need I don't know, an approval board or something where you need to outline how you're going to spend the money instead of going to the Vegas or, going and buying new cars and new planes and things, like when Palmer had, bling bling up in the Gold Coast, and he said he was going to put all this money in, but I think he just spent money on himself and bought him a few nice kits to put him on his plane. So he didn't actually do anything for the game. So I think that's what they need as a one-off payment, but then some support going forwards, whether it be an annual payment to show how they can invest that money into each of the teams. It's in the benefits not only of football in the country, but also of the owners, the A-League, as well as the clubs. So I'd like to see that. But moving on to, I think the last time we'll talk about the transfers for a couple of months, with the window in the A-League slamming shut tomorrow. So players on the move. Victory, Matt Sporanovic has retired, and they've signed Bruce Kamau and Leon's Damien De Silva. So very interested to see how he goes. For the Raw, in comes the returning Robbie Cruz, as well as Gamulka, but they signed from City. So one of the City's good youngsters who have obviously found it very hard to get game time, or a lot of game time, with probably one of the best squads, if not the best squad the A-League's ever had. In the Norway invasion continues as Sydney's Patrick Yazbek joins D. Agostino at Viking FK. Michael Roos, this is just a one that I've seen just recently in the last few hours, leaves the Mariners, but where he lands, no one knows. So he played on the weekend. There was no word of him basically leaving. So I'm not sure if he's terminated his contract to allow him to sign outside of the transfer window. Maybe that's a point. But if it's something that he's done wrong, I think from a fan's point of view, they'd like to know what he did, because he's done well since he's been there. On the coaches front, Women's Jets coach Ash Wilson was replaced by Gary Van Egmond, and City appoint Radio Vidicic on a permanent basis, signing until the end of 2024-25 season. And former Leeds man Jacob Burns joins Millet's coaching staff at the Bulls. And the last, but my favourite, and probably your favourite, is your bro Alex Gerge has left France, heading to the USA to line up for Colorado Rapids.
Yeah, huge. A lot to get through there, a lot to digest. Plenty of player movement in the A-League. I guess the biggest one is De Silva coming from Lyon to Melbourne Victory, and Matt Sporanovic retiring as well. He's had a fantastic career. Probably injury hampered him a little bit at the latter stages, but he had a fantastic career over in Europe and back here in the A-League as well, and an Asian Cup winner with the Socceroos. So he's been a tremendous servant for the game, and it's a shame that injuries have probably got the better of him, because he's a fine footballer and a very classy defender. But yeah, big news for my brother Alex, going to the USA, to the MLS. It's a good move for him. Really happy for him. Going to a league that's growing, and there's going to be a lot of spotlight on it in the next 3 to 4 years leading up to the 2026 World Cup in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So great move for him. And there's going to be a lot of eyes on that league. It's a growing league, financially very stable. and it's highly regarded in the world now. So we saw what the US did at the World Cup, and the way they play football, and the players that are actually coming out of the MLS now and going across to Europe is also quite promising as well, especially younger players and also some older players that are in their, I guess, their later 20s that have some maybe been to Europe and then come back to the MLS. A lot of South Americans and American players that have had a dabble in Europe and then come back and established themselves in the MLS, had a few good seasons, and then gone back across to Europe. So plenty of potential there, and I think it'll be a really good move and exciting move for him.
The only person that's more excited than him is your little son Giannis, who now has another destination on the map that he can tick off before he gets to probably primary school. So he's loved going to France with you this year to go and visit Uncle Alex. Now he's going to be going to the US, so he'll be loving that he's gone there. I think he'll also have a big say in his next career move. Maybe he'll choose somewhere like Spain or something, so he can add that to his passport. But look, excellent news for Alex and totally deserved. And we wish him all the best. And as usual, we'll keep a very close eye on his success throughout the year. Also, a quick bit of Premier League news. So the Premier League transfer window is already closed, but a couple of bits of news from the weekend. So the Toffees down table toppers Arsenal in Sean Dyche's first game in charge, winning 1-0. Has Klopp lost the plot? The once mighty Liverpool smacked 3-0 by Wolves. I know that's hard to believe and hard to hear unless you're a Man United fan, but 3-0 they've been beaten by Wolves at Wolves. Harry Souttar gets a win in his debut for the Foxes, which is great for the Socceroos defender, but also has an own goal to go with the victory. So not the perfect debut, but at least a winning one. Spurs defeat the champions, which I'm totally excited about. 1-0 at home. City have never beaten them at Hotspur Stadium in about 5 or 6 attempts or even scored a goal at this venue. So if we could play them there all the time, that would be fantastic. And my man Harry Kane broke Greaves's record, and I think it's 257, is it, for him in Spurs, and 200 in the Premier League. So congratulations to the England captain. So lots happening in Spurs, and your United got a great 1-1 win draw with Crystal Palace. So I'm happy about that too.
Yeah, look, plenty happening. Obviously, the headline was Harry Kane scoring the winner against City and breaking Greaves's record, and look, Arsenal flying at the moment. City stumbling, and then there's the rest behind them. So it's everyone's hunting down Arsenal, and we'll see what happens. But I think City are probably the only ones that could catch them at the moment. But little hiccup on the weekend, and obviously a hiccup for Arsenal getting done by Everton. But when a new coach comes in, players lift and they seem to grow an extra leg, or get a bigger heart, and they put in a solid performance, Everton, to sort of dig themselves out of relegation trouble. I think they're still in the bottom 3, but they're getting. I think they're only with a point of the teams above them at the moment. So
they had they did jump temporarily out of the bottom 3, but with Leeds beating, was it Nottingham Forest, they leapfrogged them again. So look, they're at least catching on to the pack just above them. And Sean Dyche is the king of. I don't know if he'll ever win any trophies, but he's the king of the Great Escape and getting teams out of trouble. So a fantastic start for him. And look, great week for me. Not only do I get a win against City, but City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and United all drop points, which is fantastic for me. And it gives us, and Newcastle, by the way. So it's been a really good week for us. Just a little bit about French football. So Montpellier midweek played PSG. They won 3-1, but Mbappe missed a penalty, then gets to retake it for the same result. What are the odds for that to happen? Then on top of that, he hurts his hamstring only 10 minutes later and is subbed. He almost also misses this weekend's game against Toulouse. So he is human. He is, like I said, he's a fantastic player, but, even players like that have off days. And I know you'll love this story too, just before we get into our the rest of the show. Ripped from a video game, still in League One. Rams manager Will Still. Now, I don't know if it's a G-up name or a real name. He's 30 years of age. He only got into coaching by the game Football Manager. Now, that's not a great way of telling players or my son, hey, stop playing video games, because he's got a full-time coaching career out of it. But in 10 years, he's risen from being an online football manager to becoming the interim manager at the club. They've been unbeaten since November. And the funniest part about it all is they're fined $22,000 per match because he doesn't have the required pro license.
It's brilliant. I've seen the clip. He's speaking French 1 minute, and then full blown English the next minute. So it's quite amazing to see how he flips between languages, and his French is unbelievable, quite fluent. So you know, I think he's only 30 years old, you said, and yeah, to come in and manage a team in League One, in a top 5 league in the world. He's doing a tremendous job, and I think they're Champagne region in Reims. So time to get the bottles out and pop a few corks, I think.
Outstanding. A player escape room. We keep the big stars coming with Sydney FC's nice guy off the pitch, but fierce enforcer on it. James Donachie joins us for a chat. We wrap up match day 13 of the A-League women's competition, revolutionised roundup of the latest men's action. And is there anything I didn't see? BIG.
I don't know if you saw this, but Bukayo Saka, there was a little scuffle in the game, and he's gone up behind Pickford and just lobbed the ball into the back of his head. Yeah, cheeky little bugger, but I think all in a good friendly nature. But yeah, I didn't know he had that in his locker.
Look, I don't know if he had it in his locker or not, but there is strong rumours going around that Spurs are eyeing off Pickford for their long-term replacement of Captain Hugo Lloris. Now, if that's the case, these two are going to hate each other even worse, right? So maybe this was just, I suppose, a preview of things to come. But yeah, look, I didn't know he had it in him either. But look, it does make it a little bit entertaining. While it might be a bit disrespectful or unsportsmanlike conduct, it does add a little bit of extra, spice to these sorts of clashes. But all right, so moving on to our A-League women's wrap. So let's smash through these games quickly. Sydney makes it a big statement with a 3-0 win over silverware rival City, sharing the goals around in an excellent team performance at home. An impressive away performance from Perth hands Western United, only their second loss of the season, and the Glory, their first big scalp of the season. 2 late goals for victory kills off a spirited fight from the Wanderers. The 3-1 result, another pleasing result for the home fans, and keeps them safely inside the top 4. Canberra puts 2 disastrous weeks behind them to record a confidence-building 3-0 win in Newcastle, but have heaped more pressure on the struggling Jets, who replaced their coach last week. And Raw defender Jessie Rashart was the first to react to the bouncing ball. Her looping header with 12 minutes to play was enough to give her team the 3 points in Adelaide and move them above their opponents into 5th.
Yeah, look, Sydney are coming, aren't they? I think Western United are top of the league at the moment on 27. Sydney with 1 game less than them and 2 games less than City, who are sitting in second on 25 points, and then Sydney in third place on 24. So they're gaining some momentum. I think they've only lost 1 in the last 5. Won 4, lost 1. So they're gaining a bit of momentum, and they're hunting down the top 2. But obviously the top 4 are starting to break away from the rest.
They are starting to clear out. So it's Western United 27, Melbourne City, as you said, 25, Sydney FC a point further back on 24, Melbourne Victory rounding out the top 4 on 21. And then you've got the Brisbane Roar 6 points adrift back on 15, Canberra United on 14. The bye is making it difficult to get a real feel of a table with a different number of games played. But obviously in the coming weeks, when some of these teams have their bye or play a catch-up game, then we'll get a fair indication of how everyone's travelling. But look, interesting times in the Women's A-League. So my weekly wrap has been replaced by a shout-out dedicating a weekly song to a team or a player for their good or bad performance. This week's shout-out goes to a young Adelaide United star, Nestori Irankunda, for his stunning winner off the bench.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings.
He's a phenomenal talent who is exciting. He scores goals and gets fans off their seats. His highlight reel is full already after only 20-odd appearances in the A-League and a handful of goals. And the song we send to you, my friend, is R. Kelly's track, I Believe I Can Fly. And surprise, surprise, you know what, Nestori? I think you can too, mate. So congratulations. Enjoy our shout-out and our dedicated track, R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly.
Yeah, look, I don't think it'll be long before he flies over to Europe.
Okay. I will touch on this a bit more in our revolutionised roundup. I've got a question for you about him, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But quick look at the A-League men's table. Melbourne City on 31. They've played 1 less game. Wanderers in second on 24. It's starting to get a bit congested here with Central Coast on 23 in third, only on goal difference ahead of Adelaide United in fourth on 23 points. Wellington a further 2 points back on 21, and rounding out the top 6 is Sydney FC on 20. The chasing pack missed their chances the past few weeks as the champions returned to form with a huge win, but Sydney and Adelaide with good wins pushing them both up the table. So let's get into our Revolutionised Round-Up. So, as we said last week, with so much to get through, we'll be selecting our match of the day each, as well as then doing a mini review of the other 4 games. For the listeners, you should know the drill now. We'll talk about the score, the goal scorers, the players of the game, the turning point, and what we would have changed, Coach Gio or VIG, in our 2 main games. And then we'll just give a quick summary of the other 4 games. So the first game and the only game on the Friday night was the Melbourne victory at home to Wellington Phoenix. Tell us about this one, VIG.
Yeah, so I've picked this one as my game of the week. Full-time score was 3-1 to the victory over Wellington. Goal scorers were Oscar Zawada again in the 13th. Bruno Fornaroli.
That was an excellent header, wasn't it?
It was a great header. Hey, Fornaroli in the 32nd. Jake Brimmer in the 54th, and Tommy Juric off the bench to score in the 91st. So
His was wasn't it though?
Yeah, look, a solid win for victory, and after going 1-0 down, they needed to dig deep. They needed to find something, and they did. So, and my player of the match was Jake Brimmer. I think he's been tremendous again this season. The last couple of games, he's really led this Melbourne victory team. He's great, dangerous from set pieces. His dead ball deliveries into the box are great, and his free kicks, well, the one on Friday night, absolutely, outstanding. Anywhere around that box, you're fouling a victory player, and Jake Brimmer steps up to the ball. More than likely, that ball's going in the back of the net these days. So, I think he's probably, for me, he's probably close to getting a move overseas. I can see it happening potentially at the end of this season, and a possible Socceroos call up as well. So he's putting himself in the mix with those performances, and he adds a different dimension to the Socceroos or to another team with his set pieces as well.
Okay, question for you, VIG, now that you've talked about Jake Brimmer. So with the pedigree of Damien De Silva and Kamau joining the squad, Brimmer getting his confidence back, and Fornaroli scoring, can victory start to put a run together? Or is this just a good day in the office?
Look, I think it's going to be tough for them. I think they're only, what are they, sitting on 14 points at the moment at the foot of the ladder. Look, it's only they got a game in hand, and
they're 2 wins outside.
They're 2 wins off. Look, they need to go on a big run. They need to win, 3-4 games in a row to really gain some momentum and put themselves back in the frame. But it shouldn't be written off. That's what they should be aiming to do with the squad they have and the players they have at their disposal. They should be aiming for the top 6 regardless of where they are right now. So
Damien De Silva comes from League One. He's played over 250 odd appearances. He's played against Mbappe. He's played against Cavani. You would think he would come in alongside Miranda and give them a really, really strong defensive line. And that allows then their attacking weapons to start to get some goals and start to get some wins. So look, I'm expecting to see a good string of run of victories for these guys now. But like I said, it's hard week in, week out, and if you don't turn up, you don't get results.
Yeah, definitely. And look, we'll finish up with that. What I would have changed, if I was Ufi, I think I would have matched victories 4-2-3-1 instead of going with a sort of 4-4-2. I think he had Bawley and Zawada up top. I would have maybe played Bawley a little bit deeper in behind, or maybe on the wing and played. I think he had Barbarousis and Kraev on the other side. So maybe play Kraev as a 10 and Bawley on the wing and Barbarousis on one side. So I think I would have just matched them man for man in that situation instead of going with the 2 up top.
What would the turning point? So what was the turning point for you?
The turning point was Jake Brimmer's free kick. Once that goes in, all right, Fornaroli got him back into the game 1-1, but once Brimmer's free kick goes in the second half there, I think you saw the belief in the victory players to say, hang on, we're not losing this game. Like we can win this, and they did it comfortably in the end. So I think the free kick was a turning point for me.
Look, especially against a team in good form in the Phoenix and a player who's hot like Zawada scoring and going 1-0 up, you think, this is a foregone conclusion. So I think it was not just a great win 3-1 against a good team, but I think the position they came from will give them a lot of extra confidence. So moving on to the first of the Saturday games, and there was plenty of them. It was Melbourne City at home to Macarthur Bulls. Final score was 6-1. And new MacArthur coach Mile Serjovski had pitchside seats to Saturday's Melbourne Horror Show as City put 6 past his team. Classy Dutchman Richard van der Veen with a stunning hat-trick, and Golden Boot leader J Mac grabbed a double in the demolition. They were both fantastic, as well as about 9 other blokes, including Lecky and so on in their squads. So they're starting to look ominous. I think they gave the rest of the field a bit of a chance. They felt a bit guilty, but if that form's anything to go by, watch out the rest of the league.
Yeah, wow, 6-1. It's a terrible day at the office for MacArthur and for Sturjovski in his first game in charge, but he's got a lot of work to do. I don't know what's going on there with the players, but yes, they come up against Melbourne City, who arguably one of the greatest A-League teams or that we've seen. So they're a great squad and they play some great football, but when you're losing a game 6-1, it's worrying signs.
Yeah, the second of the Saturday games was the nice derby between Sydney FC and the Central Coast Mariners, 2 teams both up the right end of the table. This was my match of the day. So for me, the score was 3-2 to Sydney FC. The goals coming to Lafondra in the 10th minute, Cummings equalising in the 20th from the penalty spot. Again, he gave them the lead in the 33rd minute. Joe Lolly tied it up again in the Lolly man in the 72nd minute. And then Lafondre helping himself to a second in the 72nd to give his team a 3-2 win. And they're starting to gain some momentum. For me, the player of the match was Alfie. He robbed the bakery, snatching 2 more sausage rolls. And if his spectacular overhead kick had a little bit more power, it would have been a well-deserved hat-trick. Just showed when on song, he has that goal-scoring killer instinct. So nice to see for Sydney and for him, that he's back in form and they're starting to really hit their straps. But he was fantastic.
Yeah, look, and Sydney rely on him a lot. They've always relied on their number 9 scoring a lot of goals. They had Bobo previously, Alex Bross for years. So when that number 9 isn't working for them and isn't scoring goals up top, they tend to struggle. So it's good to see him back in form and banging some goals in.
Yeah, for me, the turning point, both teams were reduced to 10 men about a few minutes apart. So for me, I don't think that changed a lot. You lost Ryan Grant, which I'm still trying to work out how that was a red card. It was a foul, but I don't know if it was a red. They overturned it. And then the Mariners lost their defender for a foul on Burgess when he was in the box. So I don't know if that changed the game. But for me, it was Marco Tullio's 50th minute miss. He had an open goal. So I think they'd had a shot on goal. The keeper, Redmayne, had parried it. The ball came out to him on his weaker left foot. And with the goal open, he and leading 2-1, he kicked it into the side netting, and the rest is history. So if he'd made that 3-1, I think the Mariners run out victors in that game, and they're sitting right behind City in second spot. Instead, they've dropped 3 points there and allowed City to catch some ground on them. Sydney to catch some ground on them. So very disappointing for them, but a great game. And what would I have done to change the game? So for the Mariners, they made 2 changes in the 59th and then 2 more in the 74th minute. But they were now behind 3-2. They looked tired the last 25 to 30 minutes, hence why they copped 2 goals with balls in behind. So I would have made those changes sooner. Sydney also introduced Bratton and Yazbek just before Central Coast made their first 2, and this energised their side and gave them this energy to come back from 2-1 down, whereas the Mariners made 2 changes in the 59th that didn't really do much for them, and then they waited until they're 3-2 down to put another 2 players on when I would have put all those players on in the 59th. I know 4's a lot of changes, but when your players are dying in the heat, against a team who's now just got a massive, lift from a class player like Luke Bratton and Yazbek, who's on his way over to Norway. I just think he had to do something to counter it. I don't think Monty's made many mistakes this year, but I think that was one of them. So unfortunately for the Central Coast Mariners, it wasn't the right decision, and they ended up paying for it. So moving on to the third of the Saturday games, it was Adelaide United at home to the Brisbane Roar. What was the score here, and how did you find things?
Yeah, full-time score was 2-1 to Adelaide. Goals to Luis Dorigo in the 35th, Joe Knowles in the 37th, his first A-League goal, I believe, and the winner to Nestori Irankunda in the 82nd. It was an absolute bullet from the young gun that won it for the Reds. Look, it's amazing that the power that he generates from his shot when running at speed. There's nothing I've seen before from a teenager. I've never seen that nowhere in the world. I don't think. I can't think of a player that's under the age of 18 that can generate such power in his shot like that. So his technique's absolutely phenomenal.
Tell me this,
Um,
Pete. So how good is Irukunda? But firstly, he only needed 4 minutes to score the winner, right? Which is so scary. It's not funny. But compare him to Quayle. So Quayle's 18. He turned 17 on Thursday. So happy birthday, Nestori. So it's a fair comparison, right? One's just left for Newcastle on loan out to Hearts, but he's 18. Nestori, okay, he's like I said, he's turning 17 on Thursday. Where does he compare to someone like Quayle, who's an excellent talent for Australia, and he's now gone over into Scotland, and he was signed by a Premier League club?
yeah, look, I think perhaps he has even more talent and probably more physicality than Garang Quayle. You know, given the fact that he's only just about to turn 17, I think he needs another year in the A-League. He needs to start playing consistently and playing more minutes. Like I'm not saying it's easy to come on and make an impact, because it's not easy to just come on and score the winner, but there's less pressure on you. It's not as physically demanding. You know, you don't have to play a full 90. You can come on for 10, 15 minutes end of the game and be explosive and run around defenders that are tired. So I want to see him start football matches and play a full season in the A-League, and then when he turns 18, he can go overseas. I think he's ready to go the moment he turns 18. He's ready to fly overseas, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's already got a few clubs after him. And,
okay, so the $1 million question then is, how long can Adelaide hold on to this special talent?
I think for one more season. I think he stays until he's 18. And I think at the end of next season, he goes overseas.
As a big European party for his 18th, and we're both invited.
100%, I'm there. So if I can do anything to get him over there, bring it on.
All right. All right, so moving on to the last of the Saturday games, it was the Perth Glory up against the Newcastle Jets. The final score was 2-2, and the best way to summarise this game was an entertaining game with 3 lead changes, a missed penalty, Mark Beaver's first A-League goal, some world-class saves, a schoolyard push and shove, a Renault Piscopo stunning strike, and young gun Archie Goodwin rescuing a late point for the away team.
Yeah, had it all. And, you know, Perth, I think they're undefeated over at Macedonia Park, and the atmosphere there and the crowd that are getting down to the games, it just looks great on TV, and it goes to show that having these smaller stadiums, it does work. So it's doing wonders for the team, and still undefeated there, playing some good football as well. Yes, Newcastle snatched it at the end and got the draw out of it, but I think Perth will be a little bit disappointed that they didn't win that game.
Yeah, most certainly. And give us a quick summary of the last of the game of the round, which was the only Sunday game between Western Sydney Wanderers and Western United. What was the score here?
Oh, I don't know, mate. I was at the beach. It was just 30 degrees, 35 degrees in Sydney. No, it finished 1-0 to the Wanderers. Yeni Nbakoto with the goal, another goal. But yeah, look, another 3 p.m. kickoff and 30-degree plus heat. I think it was close to 35, 36 out at CommBank Stadium. So, you know, it's difficult. We can't predict the weather every week, but we know at this time of the year it's generally pretty hot. So having these 3 p.m. kickoffs, they don't make sense to me. And I sound like a broken record talking about this, but unfortunately, it seems like the Wanderers keep copping it on a Sunday afternoon, when you know majority of the crowd. Like, there was no crowd there as well. The crowd was poor, but can you blame them? Do they want to go and sit and roast in the sun for 90 minutes? So I guess the sugarcoating of this was there was a second half debut to Morgan Schneiderlin, who came on as a substitute, but he must have been thinking, what the hell am I doing here playing in this heat? Honestly, it was kind of that
question though, VIG. Tell me the more important question, and like I said, this is a concern for me with Western United. They're not the same team they were last year. Prijovic, Troisi, Diamagic, Kilkenny, Imai, Topor Stanley, Doumbia, Young, and Risdon are all over 30 or older. Plus, Connor Payne will join that list this year. Do you think they did the right thing letting the much younger Dylan Wenzel-Halls and Theo Harris leave in the transfer window?
No, definitely not, because they're an aging squad. We've seen that they've had injuries. I think Leo Lacroix was injured as well this weekend. So Prijovic has been out. Diamante's been out. He's not good enough to start at the moment. He's only coming on as an impact player in the second half. So no, and I think Milanovic as well has left today. So I'm not sure where he's off to, but I think he's left. So potentially a swap deal with Rami Nazarene of Western Sydney, so that Rami could be going to Western United and Milanovic going to the Wanderers. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, an aging squad, you need a bit of youth in there, especially if you're playing on these hot afternoons. And especially if you want squad rotation and look to the future. A lot of these players will probably be retiring soon or ending up their careers. So where to next for Western United if they're not developing young talent?
Good work for AG. All right, that's the end of our Revolutionised Roundup. Up after the break, we welcome to the player escape room Sydney's enforcer, James Donachie. Can't wait. Speak to you after the break.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Joining us now in the player escape room is a man who has won silverware with the Victory and Roar, so we'll be hoping to add the Sky Blues to that list. Please welcome to the show, Sydney FC's enforcer, defender, James Donachie. G'day, mate. Welcome to the show.
How you doing? How you going?
Mate, I'm good, and I'm enjoying watching you at the moment. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but I think you're the hard man of Sydney FC. Things are going well for you guys on the weekend. So you had bragging rights went to you in the Big Blue on Australia Day against your former club. Do you feel this will kickstart a good run for you?
Mate, I hope so. After, like I was saying, the last season, was quite hard to take. So I'm hoping the league's that close, the ladder's that close to that. This is going to be what starts us getting on a run, and it was a really good trip down there. And hopefully, just from here on, we can kick on.
Mate, you've got a quality squad at Sydney, but finding consistency has been hard for you guys this season. The good news is you're only a point outside the top 6. So is the vibe good in the squad? How's everything going there? Is the gaffer still positive that you guys can make a serious run at the title?
Yeah, big time. I think you probably nailed it. It's just consistency. There's a massive difference between coming home after a loss and a win through the week, and that rolls on. It's just about getting momentum. If you get 2 in a row, that becomes 3 and 4. I think you've seen with the Central Coast and Wellingtons, that's kind of what's happening, and you just need that run of 2 or 3 games to be even close to the top 4 at the moment. So we need to get that consistency going.
Mate, you're playing out of the impressive Allianz Stadium, so I know there's a lot of other teams that are very envious of the fortress you've built there. Tell us a bit about it. The facilities are amazing. Everyone tells me the showers are better than going to a 5-star hotel. So tell us what it's like each week or every second week playing out of a stadium like that.
Yeah, look, I think it's the new number one for me. I was obviously at Amy Park, which was incredible, and that was always the top of my list. And now this is coming and trumped it. I just had a promo there. They've had rugby sevens on it, which is an absolute shame because pitch is not looking what it did. But yeah, look, massive on water pressure and showers as well. So mate, they're up there. They're up there. It's a top stadium. There's restaurants in and out of the stadium. You can go there and have a 5-star meal and watch a football game. It's something else. It's something else.
Mate, if I get a petition signed to get these rugby guys off the field and put them onto something else, right? They can play on anything, right? There's no skill involved in rugby.
Oh, mate,
it's not as good as football. Will you sign that petition? Do you reckon you can get a few of the boys to sign that?
Mate, I'll be the first on the list, mate. I'll be the first on the list. After seeing this pitch today, I was almost crying. That's not great. Not great.
Just bar them from using the showers. Just get someone to block the door or something so they can go outside, have a quick squirt under the hose, and they might change their mind and stop using the facility.
I hope so.
Mate, I've got to ask you, all your teammates say to me, you're the funniest in the team. You're the coolest cat off the pitch. But on the pitch, mate, all these mellies are breaking out and you're the first to arms, right? So the Phoenix have got Ollie Sale. The Wanderers have got Captain Marcelo. Are you Sydney's hitman? They're all telling me you're a lovely bloke. You're so quiet and funny and everything. And now I see you on the pitch, mate. And there's only one other guy that's going out there, and I'm surprised. And that's Maxi Burgess. He needs a bit of yoga or something at the moment because he's fired up, that young kid.
Yeah, he's mate. I don't know what's going on with him, but I agree with you. That's not a side I've seen of Max, and generally, definitely not off the pitch. That's not him at all. I think I've always had that kind of coming through. I don't know why. Obviously, probably have to go see a psychologist and work all that out. But mate, honestly, I love it. I'm probably not going to change, and prefer it that way. So yeah, I'll always be amongst it for as long as I'm playing.
Mate, if I had to give advice to my 12-year-old son, I'd say don't follow James, but when I was a player, you love, you know what? There's nothing worse than having your teammates run away from you when there's a melee on, right? And when they're in trouble, you go straight to their rescue. And when they're on, they're all running down to try and find the nearest bus or taxi or Uber to get out of there. So, mate, I love that you're going to bat for them. I do say on this show sometimes maybe, mate, maybe you had a bad weekend, or maybe maybe you had a punt that went wrong during the week. But I do actually love that you wear your heart on your sleeve and you do have the boys' backs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, like I said, I don't think it's going to change, and I enjoy it. But yeah, no, it's something in me, mate, and I don't think I'm going to be able to work it out. So we'll just see what happens the next few years, and hopefully, as I get older, maybe I have kids, maybe I calm down and get a bit more similar to Wilkes, but can't see it.
Mate,
can't see it happening.
What I want you just to avoid, bud, is, like I said, you're a good-looking rooster. I don't want them after you retire to start having these fights that they do in the rugby league where ex-players fight each other, right? And they all organise, when you're 38, you and Ollie Sale to go in the ring to raise money for something, mate. You're a good-looking rooster for that. So let's just make sure that we just get rid of that tag. Maybe Maxi Burgess, after the goal he scored against Celtic, he has no reason to be cranky. He scored another cracking goal on the weekend.
Very true.
Angry pants.
Very true. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't asked him. And a few boys have commented on it and said, you know what, he's the most mellow. He's down doing yoga and capoeira in Bondi, so it's out of character. Yeah, definitely.
Mate, you were born in Queensland, but now play for a New South Wales team. Do you consider yourself a Queenslander? What colour do you wear during State of Origin?
Oh yeah, tough one. God, you put me on the spot there. This will get highlighted if I say the wrong one, but.
Mate, I'm happy for you. Can just say pass if you like. You can just maybe you can choose Melbourne. But I think.
Mate, I'm just gonna pass on it just so I don't. Yeah, so I get the backlash of saying which one I truly believe in. Yeah.
All right, mate. No, you can just tell me off air. It's all good, and I won't tell anyone. Mate, are you enjoying living in Sydney after growing up in Queensland and then previously living in Melbourne and India? How are you finding Sydney compared to those places?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. I mean, there's not much. Bondi, you can't complain. Yeah, it is expensive. It's very expensive, you know. But come the weekend after a game, and come when the sun hits and it's summertime, there's not many places that compare. Yeah, Brisbane's nice. Melbourne's nice. I really can't complain. India I was in a place that was quite similar to Bali, in Goa. And then Korea, I was in an absolute village. So, yeah, looking at Bondi in terms of those places, she's well up there.
What do you miss most, Queensland or Melbourne? What do you miss most? As much as you're living in a great place and, you know, and everything's going well for you in Sydney, is there something particular you miss other than family?
Yeah, obviously, like you said, the family in Brisbane was probably number one, but I'm massive on just sitting in cafes and coffees and kind of having an area that's got a lot of people out and enjoying themselves, which Melbourne's got a lot of. Bondi's got that a little bit too. It just, I think the only difference I've noticed, everything closes here early, mate. At 12 o'clock, everyone's going home. It's almost like a semi-retirement home where Melbourne, you can, if you don't want to go home, you don't go home. You crack on.
Mate, that's only because Correca calls them and says if James Donachie shut the doors. Mate, it's nothing to do. As soon as you disappear into an Uber or a cab, it reopens again. You don't realise?
Yeah, I got spotted somewhere on the weekend, and he come in, and someone obviously knew or saw me, and he spotted me, and he come up to me at train. He's like, "Oh, how was your few days off?" I said, "Yeah, no, I just had a quiet one." He goes, "Oh yeah, what at the Coogee Pav?" And I went, "Oh no, here we go."
As long as the form stays good, that you might get the little chit chats, but nothing happens. It's when the form drops, you have to start making sure you wear a mask when you're out, or just hide in the shadows. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's probably something I strongly believe on too. If I'm not playing well, probably similar to last year, mate, you're not going to see me out. That's the truth. So while the form's good, enjoy it as much as possible while you're playing well. But if it changes, then yeah, you won't see me out. That's for sure.
All right, mate. I want to get into two games we'd like to play with our guests and throw a few of your teammates or yourself under the bus. So it's called Six Aside. I ask you 6 questions comparing you and your Sydney FC teammates. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who is more competitive, you or Luke Bratton? It's a bit close to the nerve, isn't it?
That's close, yeah. I'd say at the moment, he hasn't been sleeping well with the kids and that. I'd say him at the moment. Okay. Yeah, usually I'd go myself, but I think he's a bit tired, so he's been a bit grumpy.
All right, tell me then, who'd win an arm wrestle between the two of you?
I think I'd win the arm wrestle for sure.
What about a round goal? Who shoots the better score?
Oh, golf for sure, Batsy. Yeah, he's borderline professional. He's not. It's not enjoyable to play with him because he's too good. You know, like let's go have a good time. It's our day off for golf. Him and Joe are too good, so it's not enjoyable. It's just silly.
If the A-League had a off-season golf tournament per club, you guys would be the short price favourites. I think isn't Alfie's pretty
Alfie, yeah, I was just actually thinking about. I was going to rattle off some names because I know them three are quite up there. But even Jack Rodwell jumps in as well. We've got a bloody PGA Tour list at this club. Not great for the boys that want to go and just have a bit of a team laugh and
maybe table tennis or something. Is that something you guys could take them down on?
We get into the boys get into tech ball. We've got a tech ball's like it's pretty much table tennis but with a football and the table's curved. Yeah, that gets quite competitive before training.
Who's the best at that?
Paulie Rattray would be in there. Robbie Mack loves it.
Yeah.
Caceres is probably well up there. You know what he's like technically, so he's up there.
You guys get Correca playing? Is he still? I know he's got a good touch still. Is he in there or he just sits back and watches?
Mate, he doesn't get involved, but you know he'd be good at it. You can see it at training. He could jump in if he wants to and not look out of place well and truly.
It gives me the impression he's like my dog when I'm in the pool playing with the ball, runs up and down along the side of the glass. I reckon he's doing that when you guys are playing, dying to get in. But he just doesn't want to ask.
Sure, I don't. Yeah, he jumps. But he does. He jumps in even if we have like a little injury at training or something. He'll put a bib on and jump in, and he's still he's still got it. That's for sure.
Quality. Who is more likely to be late to training or to the airport for an away game? You or Patrick Wood?
I'd say Patrick Wood, but without a doubt, even just mentioning someone other than that, Joe Lolly's 100% every time.
Is he? Does he just not wake up, or he's just got too busy a schedule, or what's with the Lolly man?
Mate, we're 6-7 months in, and none of us have worked it out. We don't know whether he just does not have a clock, or doesn't care for time, or whether he is just tired. We don't know, but mate, he'll be late 99% of the time. Okay,
but you've still got Patrick Wood covered.
I've got Patrick Wood covered for sure. Yeah. Still young, likes to sleep in. No alarm clock.
Is there anything you guys could tempt Lolly with to get him there on time? Is there anything? Has he got something that he really particularly likes? Is there something? I don't know if it was UFC fight and he was scared he wasn't going to get a front row seat, or is there something that would make him tick? Or he's just going to be late to everything.
I'd go late for everything, but like even then, when he first come here, it was his birthday, and obviously me and Joe get on really well, and he goes, "Oh, we'll go for dinner for my birthday." I said, "Yeah, I'll be there." He goes, "We'll go at 7 o'clock. We're going in Space in Double Bay." And I rock up, as you do. I'll leave just before 7, get there, traffic, 7:15. And he's sitting in there, and I walk in, and I'm only getting to know him, And he goes, what are you doing? I've been here for 20 minutes. And I was like, all right, mate, like, relax. The boys will get here. He's like, I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. I'm hungry. I said, I didn't know him. And then from the next 6 months, he's been late for 6 months. And I was just like, how is this guy having a crack at me for being late for his birthday?
He's just testing you guys out. And now he knows that, what you guys are like. He just goes back to his use.
Yeah. He goes, I use it like that. So I'm going to be like that for the whole season now.
Well, I'm going to jump to the one that I had a little bit later down the list. Who is more likely to pick up the bill, you or Joe Lolly? Talking of Joe Lolly, talking about going to restaurants when you go in there, is he pulling out the black or gold Amex?
That's definitely Joe. He's got me covered. Yeah, he's done well, mate. So he's not shy of it as well. He'll look after everyone, especially when the boys are out and about. He's quite good like that.
Yeah, quality. So
good,
like I said, I don't know if he's got kids or not, but if he has got boys, there should be the girls lining up as when his boys get a bit older, because if that's what the old man's doing, paying the way, looking after people, treating them well, then there's two boys or a boy or whatever he has that is future marriage material.
Absolutely. Yeah, that one is definitely Joe Lolly for sure.
All right, who sucks up to the coach more, you or Redders, Andrew Redmayne?
No, definitely not me. I think. Redders doesn't speak, so
does he bring down like a coach and say, "I got a coffee, I got a spare coffee, I just got one in case, coach," or does he help pick up the balls after training if some of the young boys are doing a crap job and Steve was sort of looking around for help, or is he one of those guys?
I think it'd probably be Redders. Redders is just highly respected across the board from everyone, and he is, like you said, he'll be picking up stuff. He'll be helping our kid lady Mel. He is that. I'm probably more, I guess, fiery in training. So if something's happened, I'll be roasting and going in, and I just need to get in the showers. But he's consistently probably respected. Who sucks up more? God, that's a tough one to say. It's me, to be honest.
I can't imagine you sucking up to anyone. So
nah, that's not me. But I'll go Reddit's just out of that's a tough one to decide on.
All right, who takes longer in the shower, you or Ryan Grant?
Yeah, that'd be me for sure. I think the only person that's ever trumped me who I've played with is Costa Barbarouses.
Okay. What's the takes on?
If mate, this could be anything from 10 minutes to an hour and 20. We used to, obviously, we played at Victory together, and the showers in those change rooms, like you said, are the best in the league. They're just the water pressure, and me and Koch would sit there talk for hours. And then we'd come in, and at Sydney FC, if we were in there longer than 10 minutes, the water runs out, the hot water runs out. So he gets in before everyone, rinses it. The boys get in, it's cold water, and he's hopping out. His chest is burnt red.
Mate, I don't know. What are the showers? Now he's across the ditch back in the Phoenix. What's the showers like over there? Would he be struggling a bit?
Nah, he's saying they've moved into like a state of the art. So I reckon he'll be doing exactly the same.
So that's now. I was trying to work out what the move was behind him going back to the Phoenix, but it could have been just the showers.
Mate, there's a strong chance if they didn't say, "Well, come and check it out," and he walked in there, there's a strong chance that's what have done it. I guarantee. That's how much he loves it.
All right, and who is the better dressed or has the better dress sense, you or Diego Caballo?
Oh, that's 100% me, 100% without a doubt.
Like, is that because you're stylish, or is it just because he's got no clue?
I think he's still working it out, and
Okay.
also, or he doesn't. He's not bothered. He's not bothered. You know, he's got the missus, he's got the kids.
Yep.
I'm, still single, out and about. So I need to maintain a certain level at some point. But yeah, I don't think he's too bothered, Diego.
All right, mate. And just one other bonus one. So this is just a free hit. Tell us one thing you know you're much better at than a teammate. So as soon as you arrived at Sydney 2 seasons ago, you walked in, you're like, that sucker, I'm heaps better at that than him.
What am I heaps better at?
Any player, you can pick anyone here, you can throw any of your teammates under the bus.
Probably a better singer than most, I'll be honest. Okay. That's probably one thing I know for sure. And great on every team has like a team DJ.
Yep.
For a long time, Victory, it was Broxy. For a long time in Sydney, it was, can't remember who it was before.
A long time, Victory is Broxy. That means no one's had a shot in the last 30 years.
Nah, but see, even at Victory, me and Broxy battled it out for a few years to try and get on the deck. So to be honest, I can't even remember who was on before me at Sydney, but that's something I'll put my hand up for sure.
Oh, have you taken over now? Are you the DJ?
Yeah, I've jumped on. I think we had a bad season, and this season I thought, enough's enough. We can't be walking out with shit music or the energy a bit low. So I've jumped on for now and see how long I last at this rate.
I think your parents were already ahead of the game because your initials back to front of DJ, right? So
that's it, mate.
I think they already knew what was happening, that you're going to go in there and start rocking the house with all the tunes.
That's great. I've never actually thought of that.
Mate, that's what I'm here for, mate. I'm the brains, the operation. But, mate, you've absolutely smashed it out the park. And like I said, I think there might be a few blokes who are hunting for you when you get to training tomorrow. But let's get into the second game. I like to call 1-2. So I'll give you a few topics and you just tell me your thoughts on those topics.
Yep, sweet.
All right, let's crack into this one. Talking during a movie.
Oh, unacceptable. The only one I could probably give lenience to is Avatar because it goes for 4 hours. But besides that, yeah.
Have you seen the second one?
Yeah, I've seen it, mate. I made the mistake of going to a 9 p.m. session, got out 2 a.m. in the morning. Great.
I made the stupid mistake of not watching the first one again. And I was like, I don't think I've seen it. And then I realized, yeah, I have. So I think if anyone's going to watch it, if there's any listeners out there that haven't watched the second one yet, go and watch the first one again because it was so long ago. It was over 10 years ago, wasn't it? That the
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, so you need to link these together. Is there a preferred teammate that you'd go to the movies with?
Look, Joe's always available. I'd probably go Joe or Woody as well will come in. But then sometimes there's a cinema in Macquarie that has all the kids stuff, and we've got obviously a high number of kids in this team. It's a bit of a family team, so I'll jump in on that. I don't mind if it's hot, the occasional Disney movie just to get in the aircon,
But also, mate, if there's any squabbles in there, we need the Sydney Hitman there too. So that's why this
just in case, yeah, just in case.
All right, the gaffer, Steve Correca. How would you describe him?
Man, I think because I saw him just as I was coming in, he was finishing up. So I got to see his season, and I knew in my head he was an unbelievable player. And then when I was leaving Victory, Sydney had those 2 years, and they were just on a run. Almost did it for a third, and I thought, mate, this guy knows what he's doing. I think the year I got there, God, not only was probably he under the pump, but I was, not having a good year as well. And I think everyone just had a lot of pressure on us, and it didn't go well. And that was my first year with Steve. But I think knowing him in and out of training and knowing how he kind of deals with the boys and that, I know that it's there. It's just us getting it done with a bit of consistency that's kind of hurting him at the moment. But compared to, other coaches I've had, he's well and truly up there for sure.
Japanese food, in particular sushi. You a fan?
Yeah, fan. Yeah, big fan.
What's your go-to dish? What do you have?
No, I love sushi trains. I think because I live by myself, I hate cooking. That will feed me probably 3 days of the week. There's one in Coogee that they know me, they know my face, and they come in and they get me the lychee tea on arrival just because they know.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, big fan.
Mate, I almost got barred from the sushi train because me and the kids, they like to load up some of the trays as they go around to see who can get more salt or pepper onto those. And for some reason, they got really cranky and they started coming over, and eventually they just dropped this big pile of salt and pepper here, and as if to say, don't be doing that again. I was like, we haven't really done anything bad, right? We're just having a bit of fun at a sushi train. But I think sometimes they take themselves a bit serious. But when sushi's good, you just got to wear it, right? You just got to rock up. And even if they give me the frowns now when I go in, the sushi's just too good. You just got to go.
Oh, you got to go for it, yeah. No, I agree.
All right, mate, you said you are a great singer, so I'm not going to throw that one at you. What about dancing? Are you up there with Joe Gauchi?
Is Joe Gauchi a good dancer, is he?
You haven't seen him. After all the games now, he goes around and I actually had asked him, you're a good dancer. He said, no, I'm rubbish. And then the next week, Channel 10 have caught him on there, Network 10 have caught him on there doing a dance afterwards. He did one again on the weekend, I think. And he's just getting as many raps at the moment for his goalkeeping as he is for his dancing.
Dancing, yeah, right. Yeah,
at the Coogee Pav, will they like your moves, or the guys are telling you, mate, you need a few more beers to be half decent?
Yeah, that's what I reckon. I reckon, like, after a few beers, I am decent. Before, I'm a bit stiff, but after a few, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all
Maybe
right.
It's because you're so sore from the game that just numbs the
that's
pain.
Probably, yeah, that's probably
bit,
what
right?
it is. Just to numb my legs at that point, probably.
All right. What about celebrity crush? Is there someone, doesn't have to be a female, it could be a female, but it could be just a male player that you have a male crush on in another sport, or it could be football?
Probably, off the top of my head, I love that Gal Gadot.
Yep.
As a female, and then probably Hugh Jackman is up there for me. I think he's just good at everything.
So there's not many people, like I said, being an A-League player that you'd see on the street and you go, wow. But if one of those two walked in the room, if they were at the coffee shop, you'd be a bit, how you going?
I'm never one to be like, I'd get a photo. I find it embarrassing. It's not me at all. But if Hugh Jackman walked past, or Gal, that's really the exception. And I'd be like, I just got to do this. Yeah.
All right. So if we see on your end of season, your Mad Monday, your end of season trip this year, you're going as Wonder Woman, we know why.
100%. 100%.
Well, okay, or as Wolverine, but I think you'd be better as Wonder Woman.
Why are you Wonder Woman? Because I'm in love with her. That's why.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. The thing that makes you laugh the most?
Probably Bratsy. Probably Luke Braddon, to be honest. He's he's something else, mate. I grew up with him as well, and he's always had it. I think, like I was saying to you, if you could get him on a show, mate, he would. Whether he's whatever he's doing after football, but he needs to be aired live because he's a character, mate.
Yeah, I know. We did the cook-off last year with him, and like I said, I don't know how much high I rate him as a cook, but as a guy, he's fantastic and he's funny and he's entertaining. And I think there's a lot of those guys in the A-League which we're not, utilising to maximum capacity. So, mate, look, definitely we'll work out if there's something we could do. Maybe I can get him a cooking segment, a regular cooking segment.
Whatever it is, it would just be great to just see him on live TV.
Right, 350 game captain Alex Wilkinson.
Yeah, he's the king, mate. He's the king. I think I always looked at it as afar, and I was always wondering, I wonder what kind of guy this guy's like. I think to go in, and you always say, well, footballers will always complain about anything. You go in, the change room shit, or this shit, it's not good enough. Mate, that is not him to a T. He will never complain. He will do more gym than the young boys. He will run more than the young boy. He does everything, and he doesn't complain. He's not. I said on an interview probably a few weeks ago, having been to Korea and played there, and mentally it's quite a tough environment just with the cultural change. And he was there for 5 years, you know. And I asked him about it when I first got him. He was like, "Yeah, no, it was all right." I was like, he's living in Jombuk, which was just it's a metal company town. There's nothing around. He's like, "Yeah, it was okay. I had a good time." I was just, this guy's incredible, mate.
Mate, I think the best way to kind of describe who are the best players or the most liked is you're just asking, obviously, your peers and your teammates. And, mate, there's only one guy that I ever get regularly that gets as many people say they love playing with him and being around him, and that's David Ball, Golden Balls, right? So everyone, I think he must pay him because everyone says he's the funniest, he's the best at this, he's the best at that. And Wilco's the same. Everyone always thinks so highly of Wilco, and I'm a big fan. I think he's a great guy, and you know, he's a great player, he's a great dad, he's a great husband, he's great everything, right? He's a great golfer, great probably at snooker, great at everything. So he's a great guy, and mate, like I said, the duo of you two, and throw in Mr. Rodwell, and you guys have got a pretty awesome back three there. So if we can start getting the strike force firing, then you know, the rest of the league, watch out.
Absolutely. I think I said to my old man, I was saying to someone last week, it was probably like the MJ Dennis Rodman kind of combo, you know. I'm probably definitely the Dennis, but yeah, he's like that, mate. He's something else.
Mate, remembering special occasions, i.e. birthdays, anniversaries. Now, being single, you probably don't have to remember too many anniversaries, but maybe families' birthdays, or I don't know, something else. Are you good at that, or are you rubbish?
No, I have to keep a notepad, man. I've got the diary, not for, you know, some people have diaries to write, you know, notes and stuff. I just for dates, otherwise I'm terrible. I have to write it down.
Mate, you might have to do a Oscar Zawada. He told me the other day he's got his anniversary tattooed on his arm so he doesn't forget, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
you might have to get drastic measures like that.
No, I do. I've got my family's birthdays on the back of my arm. The funniest thing is I've got them done there. I can't even look at them. I can't see them. And then when you put it in the mirror, you know, it flips it. So I can't.
Yeah, I know.
It plays in my head even more.
I'm guessing then, if that's the case, either it was bad planning, which, speaking to you, I don't think is the case. I think maybe it's a good pickup line. You could say to a girl at the pub, "Oh, look, I can't. I think it's my mum's birthday soon. Could you just have a look at my shoulder and tell me what the date of birth?" Yeah, it is. Yeah,
mate, it's been done. It's been done. Yeah, no, definitely.
Right. What motivates you to work hard?
To be honest, I just love competing. I'm not like you said to me at the start of the segment. Tactically in teams and stuff like that, my first full professional coach was Ange, which was just high in motivation. And yeah, he was tactically very good, but players will die on the pitch and players would finish the game on the floor because they just wanted to be so competitive and that they wanted to win all the time, just being that motivated. And I think that's probably more me, is that I love competing. Come game day, I'm excited because I get to compete on the field with other players at that level. Even when we play like other games where you go up a level and play, you know, the Liverpools that come across, that excites me a lot just to see how good they are. The other stuff, I'm not that I'm not big on it. You have to know it, but that's probably the thing that I like the most about it.
Mate, as likeable as you are, I'm getting the impression if you are in rehab or you're out injured, I'm not calling you. I'll call you any day. I'm never calling the grumpy bear when you're in rehab. You would be unbearable.
Oh, disaster! Yeah, I had a missus probably for a long time, like 6-7 years, and she said the same. She goes, I can't deal with. I can't deal with you. And I'll come home after a session and I was rubbish, and I just go, look, I need to go for a walk.
All right, mate. I know you're a busy man, but look, I fingers crossed we don't get any injuries because, like I said, we love chatting with you, so we'd love to chat with you again when we get a chance. But, mate, I wish you all the best with Sydney FC. Things are hopefully after the Big Blue victory are heading in the right direction, and we can add some more silverware to your trophy. I'd say, mate, there wouldn't be many there who have got more in the trophy cabinet than you, and you're probably overdue for another one. So fingers crossed with that. We hope, like I said, the season pans out well, and we hope that if you are seen out after dark, that you stay in the shadows and you don't get seen by Steve Koreka. But, mate, I really appreciate you coming on the Football Revolution, and we'd love to check in with you again later in the year.
Legend, awesome. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me, mate. That was great.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Welcome back to the show. It's now time for our finale, the clinical finish. So first up is our What the Foot. And not only are you going to get a special edition of this, it had to be me. Despicable me. Apologies for my mistake last week. I wasn't doing it to stitch you, VIG. In the games coming up this week, I said, and while asking your thoughts on the result, Glory versus Raw. It should have been Newcastle Jets. So I apologise to the Novocastrians listeners as well as you, mate. I didn't do it to try and stuff you up because you always get things so right that I thought if I gave you a bodgy game that doesn't exist, you won't get it right. But it ended up in a draw anyway, so you wouldn't have got the right result if you'd picked a winner. But yeah, for me, it had to be me. And What the Foot belongs squarely at yours truly.
There you go. What the Bigfoot. Yeah.
Wasn't great, but I occasionally get it wrong, and I'm not too proud to admit when I do get it wrong, and I only owe it to the listeners because they're so loyal and they're so good to us that when I do make a mistake, I'm going to call myself on it. So I don't know if I'd be giving myself what the foot every week, but definitely last week saying that two teams were playing and they weren't was pretty poor.
Yeah, look, I think the Glory and the Jets saved you on that one because it was a tremendous game of football anyway. So it was good to watch.
I'm happy to take the what the foot, but I'm not taking the Pajero. Okay, so moving on. Games to watch this week. The spicy Sydney derby on Saturday night featuring our guest. I'm sure he'll be where the action is. So James Donachie, I'm not sure if there's any fireworks. I'm sure he'll be right behind those. But who do you like? I know your heart says Sky Blues, but who do you like in that one?
Yeah, look, it's a huge game. The Wanderers also obviously in great form, and they're hunting down City. I think they're arguably the second best team in the league at the moment. So that they want to mark their territory and stake their claim for a top 2 finish and really put some pressure on City as well. So it's going to be difficult. Ryan Grant's out for Sydney. Obviously, I think he's got a 1-week suspension for that red card. It pains me to say this, but
I
know it pains me to say this, but I think the Wanderers might run away with it.
All right, I'm not going to say anything because I'm wearing a red shirt, but we had James Donachie on this week, and I love him. So I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to sit on the fence, and I'm going to let the trader here go and pick the Wanderers in the Sydney derby. So enough said from me. The much improved Glory at home to the deadly City, and the unpredictable Jets welcome the victory. Have they found their mojo?
Yeah, look, I think Glory City's a very interesting game for me. Perth at home, undefeated there.
Is Taggart back?
I think he's back in the squad. Hopefully, he gets some more game time and starts to find the back of the net again. So we saw what he could do with limited time, scoring 2 goals. So hopefully he's fit enough to go from the start, or at least come on and make an impact in this one. So I think that.
We only summarised the Glory Jets game, VIG, but if you'd watched the game, it could have been 5-0 at halftime to the Jets. They missed a penalty with David Williams. I think there was 2 absolutely cracking saves from point blank from Duncan in goals. So it could have easily have been. It could have easily have been, and it should have been a one-sided game because they dominated so much. So I'm with you, especially if they get Taggart back. The way that Ruben Zakovic has got this team playing, they are dangerous.
They are dangerous, but so are City. So it's going to be. It could be a shoot off in the West. It could be a high scoring game, a 4-3 or something of that ilk. So looking forward to that one, and I think it's a 10:30 kickoff Eastern time. So that's a nice nightcap for Saturday night, and the Jets and victory 3 p.m. on Sunday. Interesting game as well. Obviously, the victory with a win last week, that they need to get the train rolling and get a couple wins back to back. So that'll be an interesting one on Sunday afternoon as well.
Yeah, there's 3 other games besides those, but quick update on our TFR fantasy. So my round 15 score was 96, taking my grand total to 1,192. And VIG, what was your round 15 score?
Yeah, I've pipped you by 1, so I got 97, taking my total to 1,164. So
you're slowly chipping away.
I'm slowly chipping away. I only got one back on you, but slowly chipping away at that.
Look, I made a few changes, and the 2 major ones for me was I brought in Zawada and I gave him the armband. He scored 13, giving me 26 as my captain. And my usual captain, Cummings, got me 22 points. Now, it didn't work out for me. I should have probably left him as captain as good as Zawada did, and then I would have got 44, but that's the way it goes. And Piscopo with his cracking goal got me 17. And the poor, last week's star, Matt Miller, got me -5, and Krayev and Robert Mack only got 2 points between them. So not great scoring there, but look, a great battle between us. And you pipped me by 1, but I've still got you by a little bit under 30.
Yeah, look, I think I might have to ring a few changes this weekend. I still got Clayton Lewis in there who's been out injured. So I was fortunate that Iran Kunda came in and got the match winner for me. So, yeah, a little bit of shuffling on my behalf, but I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Mate, if you've got D'Agostino in your squad, keep him in there. Keep Yazbek in too. That's all the sorts of helping hands I need to make sure I get the job done, because I'm not the king of on the ball. I'm not the king of VIG stats, man. So this is the only thing that I have the title in. So I want to keep it.
Do goals and assists in the Norwegian league count in this as well, or
maybe we could, if we could get sort of techie on board, we might be able to work out how that happens.
Yeah, or the Scottish league. There's enough Aussies playing over there that we can maybe count their goals and assists.
All right. If they missed any part of the show or they want to listen to other episodes, where can they catch it?
Yeah, they can catch us on all good podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, also on FNR, Football Nation Radio, and up on our YouTube channel, they can see the video.
Mate, plenty of places they can catch us, but there's plenty of football to keep us entertained this week. Thanks to our guest, James Donachie. We hope you enjoyed the show even half as much as we enjoy bringing it to you, and we look forward to you joining us again next Tuesday. Until then, as we say, rise up and join the football revolution. Have a great week. We'll catch you then.